Can money die? A journey through history's worst hyperinflations. Can money die? And if so, what happens? I know it sounds like a strange question. Money's just there, right? It's in your wallet, your bank account, your paycheck. It's the thing you work for, save up, and spend. It feels permanent. Solid. Real. But here's the thing, money is actually one of the most fragile inventions in human history. It's not backed by gold anymore in most countries. It's not tied to anything physical. It's just an agreement. A collective belief that this piece of paper, or this number on a screen, has value. And when that belief breaks, when people stop trusting that their money will be worth something tomorrow, that's when money dies. And I'm not being dramatic here. It's actually happened. Multiple times. In our lifetime, even. So what does it look like when money dies? Well, imagine this, you wake up one morning, and the money you had in your account yesterday, enough to buy a car, can now barely afford a loaf of bread. Your paycheck becomes worthless before you can even spend it. People are literally burning cash to stay warm because it's cheaper than buying firewood. Sounds impossible. It's not. It's called hyperinflation, and it's one of the most terrifying economic phenomena that can happen to a society. And today, I want to take you through 5 real examples, 5 times when money actually died, and show you what it cost those societies. Because understanding this stuff, it's not just about history. It's about protecting yourself today. Let's start with probably the most famous case, Germany, 1923. Picture this, World War I has just ended. Germany lost. And the winning countries, France, Britain, the US, they're angry. So they hit Germany with reparations. Not just any reparations. We're talking 132 billion gold marks. That's an absolutely astronomical sum, more than Germany could realistically pay back in generations. So what does the German government do? They start printing money. At first, it seems like a reasonable solution. They need to pay their debts, they need to keep the economy running, so they print. And then they print more. And more. And at first, people didn't panic. Prices went up a bit, sure. But nothing crazy. Then something shifted. The printing accelerated. And prices didn't just go up, they exploded. By November 1923, Germany was in full-blown hyperinflation. And I want you to really grasp what this looked like on the ground. A loaf of bread, just a simple loaf of bread, cost 200 billion marks. Let that sink in. 200 billion marks for one loaf of bread. People were carrying money in wheelbarrows. Not because they were rich, but because you needed a wheelbarrow full of cash just to buy groceries. There are famous photos from this time of children playing with stacks of money like they're building blocks. Because that's all it was good for at that point. And here's what really gets me, the middle class was completely wiped out. These were people who had done everything right. They'd worked hard, saved their money, been responsible. And in a matter of weeks, their entire life savings became worthless. Completely gone. But the damage went way deeper than just money. When a currency collapses like this, trust collapses with it. Think about it. If you can't trust that your money will hold its value, what can you trust? Contracts become meaningless. Savings become pointless. Salaries become a joke. And this financial chaos? It created the perfect breeding ground for extremism. People were desperate, angry, looking for someone to blame. And just a decade later, Adolf Hitler rose to power, partly on the back of this economic trauma. The hyperinflation didn't just destroy Germany's currency, it helped destroy Germany's democracy. Now let's jump forward in time. Zimbabwe, early 2000s. President Robert Mugabe's government is facing international sanctions and economic isolation. So they decide to seize farmland from white farmers and redistribute it. Now, whatever you think about the politics of that decision, the economic result was catastrophic. Agricultural productivity collapsed. The economy tanked. And what did the government do? Same thing Germany did. They printed money. Lots of it. By 2008, things had gotten completely insane. Zimbabwe's inflation rate hit 79.6 billion%. I'll say that again, 79.6 billion%. Prices were doubling every single day. Every 24 hours, everything cost twice as much. The government kept printing larger and larger bills. First it was millions. then billions. Then they printed a $100 trillion bill. Yes, that's a real thing that existed. A $100 trillion note. And you know what it could buy you? Not much. Maybe a few groceries if you were lucky. Eventually, they just gave up. They abandoned their own currency and started using US dollars and South African rand instead. Their money had literally become worthless paper. And the human cost? Devastating. Entire pensions, people's retirement savings built up over decades, gone. Industries collapsed. Skilled workers fled the country. An entire generation of Zimbabweans had to leave their homes and become economic refugees, just to survive. But here's where it gets really interesting. Through all of this chaos, some people made it through. Who? The ones who had real assets. Land. Skills. Things of actual value that couldn't be printed away. Because you can print money, but you can't print food. You can't print expertise. You can't print tangible value. Alright, now let me take you to what's often considered the absolute worst case in recorded history, Hungary, 1946. World War II has just ended. Hungary is completely destroyed. Physically, economically, politically. The government introduces a new currency called the pengo and starts printing it at an absolutely insane rate to cover war debts and reconstruction costs. And the numbers here are just mind-blowing. At the peak, prices were doubling every 15 hours. Not every day. Every 15 hours. The inflation rate reached 41.9 quadrillion %. That's a 4 with 16 zeros after it. I can't even properly comprehend that number. The currency became so worthless so fast that the government had to get creative. They created a PMIL pengo worth 1 million pengo. Then a B pengo worth 1 billion pengo. And even that wasn't enough. Eventually they just threw in the towel and introduced an entirely new currency, the forint. What did Hungary lose? Everything. The entire middle class was annihilated. Every savings account went to zero. Any trust in government or institutions? Gone. Hyperinflation didn't just reset the economy. It erased people's entire financial past. Now let's come to more recent times. Venezuela, 2010s to today. This one hits different because it's happening right now. Venezuela should be rich. They have massive oil reserves. Natural resources. It should be one of the wealthiest countries in Latin America. Instead, it became a cautionary tale of what happens when you combine corruption, price controls, nationalization of industries, and reckless money printing. The government kept printing money to cover budget deficits, subsidize failing programs, and maintain political control. And by 2018, inflation crossed 1 million %. Think about what that means in practical terms. You get your paycheck, and you have to rush out and spend it immediately, that same day, because by tomorrow it'll be worth half as much. Supermarkets are empty. Doctors and engineers are fleeing the country to work as delivery drivers in other countries. People are going back to bartering like it's the medieval times. And once again, the government tried the same trick, they started printing bills with more zeros. When that didn't work, they literally just deleted 6 zeros from the currency overnight. Like, they just pretended those zeros never existed. But you can't delete the damage. Venezuela's healthcare system collapsed. Millions of people became migrants. And the ones who survived? Same story as always, the ones with hard assets, with dollars, with skills that had value outside the system. Let me give you one more example, Yugoslavia, 1990s. After the Soviet Union collapsed and Yugoslavia violently broke apart, the economy imploded under the weight of war, sanctions, and complete mismanagement. In 1993, inflation hit 313 million % per month. Prices doubled every 1.4 days. The government kept introducing new currencies, each time wiping out people's savings. Citizens stopped using the official money altogether and switched to German marks and US dollars just to function. The official currency became literally worthless. People used it to light cigarettes or wallpaper abandoned buildings. So here's the pattern, right? You see it across all these cases. A government faces a crisis. They print money to solve it. Trust evaporates. Currency collapses. Society fractures. Different countries, different decades, same fundamental mistake. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but that's history. That's other countries. Places that were unstable or poorly managed. We're smarter now. That couldn't happen here. But are we really smarter? Let me give you some numbers. The United States currently holds over $34 trillion in national debt. And it's growing. Central banks around the world have spent the last 15 years printing trillions of dollars to prop up economies, keep interest rates low, and stimulate markets. And for a long time, it seemed to work. Inflation stayed low. The economy kept growing. Stock markets kept going up. The system seemed stable. Until recently. In 2021 and 2022, something changed. After years of low inflation, prices suddenly started rising fast. Supply chain issues, the war in Ukraine, energy prices, all of that played a role. But so did all that money printing. It finally caught up with us. Central banks went from printing money to panicking about inflation. Interest rates shot up. Markets got shaky. And regular people, the ones who didn't benefit from all that cheap money, started feeling the squeeze. Rent went up. Groceries got expensive. Gas prices spiked. And wages? They didn't keep up. For the first time in decades, people started asking fundamental questions again. What actually is money? Who controls it? What happens if this whole thing breaks? Now, we're not in hyperinflation territory. Not even close. But the warning signs are there. Not just in the price increases, but in the mindset. This idea that we can just print money to solve structural problems. That we can borrow forever without consequences. That central banks will always save us. These are dangerous assumptions. They're the same assumptions that were made in Weimar Germany. In Zimbabwe. In Venezuela. The difference now is scale. Because never before in history has the entire global economy been so interconnected, so dependent on debt, and so reliant on central bank intervention. If trust breaks this time, it won't just be one country. It could be systemic. So what does this mean for you? You probably don't control the Federal Reserve or the European Central Bank. But you do control your own situation. Your savings. Your habits. Your financial education. So what can we learn from these 5 catastrophic hyperinflations? First, real wealth is not paper. It's not numbers on a screen. Real wealth is purchasing power. It's land, skills, hard assets, valuable relationships, and the ability to adapt. In every single one of these countries, paper wealth vanished overnight. But the people who survived, they had tangible assets. They had skills that produced value outside the financial system. Second, trust is everything. Currencies don't fail because the paper deteriorates. They fail because belief does. Once people stop believing that their money has value, the game is over. And that belief can erode faster than you think. Way faster. And once it's gone, it's almost impossible to rebuild. Third, inflation punishes the unprepared. It moves fast. It compounds. And it hits the people living paycheck to paycheck the hardest. Governments can inflate their debts away, but you can't inflate your grocery bill down. That's why financial education isn't just about getting rich, it's about protecting what you have. So what does protection look like today? It means understanding the system instead of blindly trusting it. It means being smart about debt, not taking on more than you need. It means diversifying your assets. And I don't just mean having different stocks. I mean having different types of assets across different systems. Maybe that means holding some physical assets. Maybe it means learning a skill that has value no matter what happens to the economy. Maybe it means building a life that costs less to maintain, so you're not dependent on everything going perfectly. Most importantly, it means understanding that inflation is essentially a hidden tax. It's a transfer of wealth. A slow erosion of your purchasing power, unless you know how to protect yourself against it. Look, the 5 worst hyperinflations in history weren't random disasters. They were caused by bad policy decisions, by war, by denial, by arrogance, and by this seductive lie that money can just be created out of thin air without consequences. But now you know better. You've seen the pattern play out across different countries in different time periods. And the next time someone tells you that could never happen here, you'll know exactly what to think. Because money can die. It has died. Multiple times. And when it does, it takes entire societies down with it. History doesn't repeat itself exactly, but if you don't understand it, it'll definitely catch you off guard. The question isn't whether something like this could happen again. The question is, will you be ready if it does?